Welcome to the debate. Right now, your brain is, well, it's trapped inside a dark, silent skull. It has literally no direct access to the outside world.
Yeah, it's a bit claustrophobic when you think about it.
It really is. I mean, it doesn't actually see light, and it doesn't actually hear sound. It is quite literally hallucinating the world around you, based on this stream of electrical impulses coming through your sensory organs.
Right. It's a slightly unsettling but entirely scientifically accurate starting point. The brain just interprets data and makes its best guess.
Exactly. So the fundamental question we are looking at today, drawn from the core concepts in the architecture of conscious experience, is this. How much of the world you are experiencing right now is an objective, unyielding reality? And how much are you actively inventing? Does individual attention truly act as the architect of our personal reality, granting us profound freedom to shape our lives?
Or on the flip side, is our conscious experience inevitably constrained and, defined by unyielding physical laws and collective social structures?
Right. That is the core tension here. And I will be arguing that individual consciousness and directed attention are indeed the primary active architects of human meaning and personal reality.
And I will be arguing that while consciousness obviously filters our experience, those objective constraints and shared social systems strictly limit the scope and power of individual interpretation. I mean, we just can't simply think our way out of the fundamental structures of reality.
Well, let's lay out how this architecture actually works. When we look at the material, it establishes that every human being inherits the exact same physical world, but lives inside a completely different psychological one.
Yeah, the internal models.
Exactly. Mountains, cities, a drop in the stock market, a conversation with a friend, none of these possess inherent, baked-in meaning until they're encountered by a conscious mind.
They're just neutral data points.
Right. Without awareness, a mountain is just rock. A market crash is literally just numerical data. We have historically treated meaning like it's, buried treasure waiting to be unearthed. But the text suggests meaning functions like architecture. It is built.
Built from the raw materials provided by the physical world, though.
Yes, but the building process is entirely internal. From a neurobiological standpoint, we know the brain relies heavily on predictive processing. We don't passively record reality like a video camera.
No, definitely not.
Our brains project a model of reality outwards and then update it only when we encounter prediction errors. So we are constantly, actively creating the world we inhabit through our expectations and our focus.
I hear you.
Now, I see why you think that objective constraints hold the ultimate power, but let me give you a different perspective. If the lived experience of reality is always, 100% of the time, filtered through this active awareness, then consciousness isn't just a passenger in the physical world. It is the fundamental medium of human life.
I come at it from a different way. I fully acknowledge the mechanism of predictive processing you just mentioned. The material is very clear that the world presents information, and consciousness transforms that information into experience.
Right.
But we must not conflate the filter with the source.
How so?
The text draws an explicit and critical distinction. Reality refers to whatever exists independently of any individual observer.
Okay.
Experience is what happens after reality has passed through memory, emotion, belief, culture, and attention. Human beings frequently speak as though reality and experience are identical, but they are absolutely not.
I mean, they're heavily intertwined.
Intertwined, yes, but not the same. If you step off a cliff, gravity is going to act on your mass regardless of your brain's predictive model. Gravity doesn't care if your internal model predicted you could fly.
Okay, sure. But nobody is arguing that consciousness overrides basic physics.
But the implications extend beyond just physics. My position rests on the fact that while our internal models of the world differ, which, by the way, explains how highly intelligent people can observe the exact same evidence and sincerely disagree.
Right, we see that all the time.
Exactly. But people cannot simply interpret their way out of objective or social constraints. The physical universe operates on its own laws regardless of our awareness. Our internal models are uniquely ours, yes, but they are bound by a reality that literally does not care about our interpretations.
Well, let's dig into how those internal models are built, though, because I think this gets to the heart of the power dynamic between reality and experience.
Go ahead.
The material identifies attention as the master architect of experience. And this isn't just a metaphor, right? There is a reason why attention is the single most contested resource in the modern economy.
Oh, absolutely.
Tech platforms, political movements, advertisers, they are all mobilizing to capture your attention. Why? Because of how neuroplasticity works. Whatever repeatedly receives your attention literally rewires your cognitive architecture.
They are trying to shape your experience of the world. Yes, I agree with that.
They're trying to build your reality. The text brings up this profound example of two people facing the exact same event. Let's look at a major career setback, like a layoff.
Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal. But one person's attention immediately latches on to rejection, threat, and loss. Biologically, their amygdala, the threat detection circuitry, just goes into overdrive.
Total panic mode.
Exactly. But the other person directs their attention toward redirection, white space, opportunity. They engage the prefrontal cortex to look for solutions. The objective event is identical. The lack of a paycheck is identical.
Right.
But the meaning, and therefore the lived reality of those two individuals, diverges completely based on how their attention is deployed.
See, the problem with elevating attention to the status of a supreme architect is that it flirts with delusion if it goes unchecked.
Delusion, that's a bit harsh.
Well, the text offers a very specific caveat regarding this. Seeing differently does not automatically mean seeing falsely. That is a call for intellectual humility, acknowledging that different perceptions stem from different internal models.
Right, so we can see things differently without being wrong.
Yes. However, just because someone directs their attention toward opportunities over threats doesn't mean the threats aren't a physical reality.
But if they are navigating the threat successfully, haven't they altered its impact?
Impact? Maybe. Existence? No. Let's look at the mechanism of an optical illusion to understand this. Think of that famous photograph of the dress that went viral years ago.
Oh man, not the dress.
Yes, the dress. Half the internet saw a blue and black dress, and the other half saw white and gold.
Right, because their brains were making different unconscious assumptions about the ambient lighting in the room where the photo was taken.
Precisely. Their brains processed the exact same photons hitting their retinas, but constructed entirely different, unyielding visual realities. You couldn't force yourself to see the other colors, even if you tried.
Yeah, it was locked in.
But here is the critical point. The dress itself had an objective physical color. It was manufactured with specific dyes in a specific factory. Attention and internal modeling dictate your experience of the dress, but they do not alter the physical dress.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Overestimating the power of attention risks ignoring the objective environment. If your bank account is empty, focusing your attention on the opportunity of minimalism doesn't change the objective caloric reality of needing to buy food.
Wait, let me stop you right there. Does that distinction between objective reality and subjective experience actually matter to the individual going about their everyday life?
Of course it matters.
Does it? Let's step away from the extremes of starvation and look at ordinary existence. You have two people in the exact same income bracket, living in the same geographic location with the same basic health markers.
Okay.
Their external realities overlap 99%. Yet one invests their attention continually in creation, connection, and gratitude. The other's brain is locked in a loop of comparison, resentment, and perceived threat.
Sure, they feel different.
But their internal realities are universes apart. If consciousness is the only medium through which life is experienced, if you can only ever live inside your own mind, then hasn't attention essentially overridden physical reality?
For all intents and purposes, the psychological space is their reality.
It is their experience. And if you're listening to this on your commute right now, sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic, you might be thinking, well, I can't just imagine away this traffic jam.
And that is exactly my point. That internal reality you were talking about is wonderful, right up until the moment it crashes into everyone else's reality. Which naturally brings us to a crucial boundary condition for this theory of pure individual agency.
What happens when it collides?
Exactly.
What happens when your personally constructed meaning collides with the meaning constructed by a society?
Even in that collision, it still comes back to the individual's power to assign significance. Even the traffic jam is assigned meaning by the individual. Is it a blood pressure spiking barrier to your productivity? Or is it an enforced pocket of free time to sit and, listen to a debate?
A very good debate, admittedly.
Obviously. But you take the raw material of the world and forge meaning out of it. We do this constantly with abstract concepts. Think about labor. The physical expenditure of ATP in your cells is just biological data.
True.
But you decide the meaning. One person conceptualizes their physical exhaustion as meaningless drudgery. Another frames it as a crucial sacrifice to build their family's future. The biological mechanism is identical, but conscious beings assign the significance through their values.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that. Let me tell you why.
Okay, let's hear it.
The text explicitly introduces the concept of shared meaning, and this acts as a massive, unavoidable anchor on individual interpretation. Human civilization is essentially built on a collaborative hallucination.
A collaborative hallucination? I like that phrasing.
It's accurate. Things exist simply because enough people collectively believe in them. Think about fiat currency. Money functions only because societies agree to exchange it. Laws influence behavior because institutions maintain shared expectations. Brands possess value because millions of consumers collectively trust them.
And you are proving my point. They exist because of belief.
Yes, but the terrifying and profound part isn't that money is a social construct. It's that human consensus is so powerful it literally becomes an objective physical constraint on the individual.
But it's still constructed.
Constructed but inescapable. These systems are not illusions you can individually reinterpret to escape their power. You can sit in your living room and deeply, genuinely cultivate a psychological state of abundant financial freedom. You can reframe your $0 bank balance all you want.
Right, you can change your mindset.
But if your mortgage goes unpaid, the collective reality of the banking system will foreclose on your house. The sheriff who arrives to physically evict you is part of a shared reality that fundamentally overrides your personal attention. The individual cannot simply assign a new significance to a legal contract and expect the world to bend.
But look at the very words you are using and the words the text uses. It calls these social realities, explicitly distinguishing them from physical realities like the gravity we discussed earlier. You just admitted that money, brands, and laws function because society collectively agrees on them.
I did. They are institutional facts.
So their power emerges through collective agreement rather than physical substance alone. What is collective agreement if not consciousness operating en masse?
It's group consensus, yes.
Right. The fact that a piece of paper, a dollar bill, or a legal writ has the power to mobilize a sheriff to physically remove you from a house actually cements my argument. Human consciousness is the ultimate author of reality.
Oh, come on.
Seriously, the physical substance of the legal contract is completely meaningless without the shared conscious belief in it. So even when we face immense, crushing constraints from society, we are still looking at the architecture of conscious experience. It's just collaborative architecture.
Collaborative, yes, but enforced objectively upon the individual who dissents from it. The text states that understanding the difference between physical and social realities allows individuals to recognize where perception becomes a productive force and where objective constraints continue to operate regardless of belief.
Right. You have to know what you're dealing with.
Exactly. To the single person, a social reality operates with the exact same unyielding force as a physical one. You can recognize that a law is merely a social construct all you want, but if you break it, the prison cell they put you in is made of very physical steel.
Which brings us to a critical junction. If these collective social agreements and physical laws carry such immense, unavoidable weight in our lives, we have to confront the final thesis of this material. Exactly how much freedom and responsibility does a single individual truly possess?
That is the ultimate question. Because if the world is this heavy, what agency is actually left?
The text argues that the individual possesses remarkable freedom, but it defines that freedom very carefully. Our greatest freedom is not the ability to magically control external reality or wave away social structures.
Thank goodness.
Right. It's not magic. It is the ability to consciously participate in shaping our experience of those structures. And this participation happens in only one neurological space, the present moment.
Ah, the power of the now.
Precisely. And the material makes a profound observation about our cognitive perception of time. History is just a cognitive construct explaining where humanity has been. Forecasts are just predictive models of where humanity might go. But neither is a substitute for where life actually happens.
We spend a lot of time out of the present, though.
We do. The brain's default mode network constantly pulls us into ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. But every conversation, every decision, every moment of actual neuroplasticity occurs now. Yet people constantly postpone living while preparing for a future that never fully arrives.
They live in the forecast.
Exactly. They delay curiosity until economic conditions are perfect. They postpone creativity until confidence magically appears. They put off relationships until they achieve a certain status in that shared social reality you mentioned.
Which is a tragic way to live.
It is, but the future is built entirely from the raw material of today's attention. Our true freedom is taking responsibility for our awareness in the present moment.
That's a compelling argument, but have you considered that overemphasizing individual responsibility for one's psychological state dangerously borders on ignoring objective harm?
How so?
Well, yes, life happens in the present. Yes, action exists only now. But the text provides a stark, necessary warning stating individuals cannot control every circumstance.
Right. Nobody denies that.
But if we tell people that the quality of their life cannot be separated entirely from the quality of their attention, we risk a massive blind spot. We risk suggesting that victims of severe systemic injustice, crippling physical illness, or extreme poverty are simply failing to cultivate the right kind of attention.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, we risk placing the blame on the individual's mental filter, rather than the unyielding physical and social realities that are actively crushing them. Awareness creates responsibility, yes, but we must maintain the intellectual humility to recognize that some circumstances completely overwhelm even the most highly disciplined attention. You cannot meditate your way out of a famine.
I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning because it mischaracterizes the nature of the freedom being offered. Acknowledging that we cannot control every circumstance does not negate the power of attention. It actually clarifies its exact function.
Okay, clarify it for me.
The material never claims we can control external reality. It explicitly says we have the freedom to influence what receives sustained attention, what meanings we reinforce, and which narratives become central to identity.
But how does narrative formulation help someone in a structurally oppressive situation?
Because even in the face of profound hardship or systemic constraints, the individual still retains the agency of identity formulation. Let's look at the mechanism of identity. Two people can endure the exact same objective hardship, say, a severe chronic health diagnosis.
Okay, that's a tough one.
Very tough. But one person's identity becomes entirely consumed by the narrative of loss. Their attention reinforces a static state of suffering, building neural pathways of helplessness.
Right.
The other person's attention seeks out whatever small agency remains. Their identity incorporates resilience alongside the grief. The physiological constraints are identical. The disease is identical. But the repeated deployment of attention gradually shaped their psychological architecture in radically different ways. That is the responsibility of awareness. It is not about controlling the external world. It is about cultivating the consciousness that must endure that world.
And I believe that cultivation must always be tempered with a deep, abiding respect for what lies outside the mind. As we wrap up this discussion, my position remains firmly grounded in the text's vital distinction between reality and experience.
The filter versus the source.
Exactly. Our internal models of the world are uniquely ours. They dictate our psychological landscape, but we must respect the objective physical boundaries and the shared social structures that exist entirely independently of our awareness.
We can't just ignore them.
No, we can't. Intellectual humility demands that we recognize our interpretations are just that, interpretations. Seeing differently does not automatically mean seeing falsely, but it absolutely does not rewrite the laws of physics or the shared agreements that govern human civilization. We have to navigate the world as it actually is, not merely as we perceive it.
And my summary is that while the external world provides the raw materials, consciousness remains the undeniable medium of human life. Every single day, through the mechanism of directed attention, We strengthen particular neural pathways and habits of thought.
We are the architects.
We are. We direct our focus, and in doing so, we construct the psychological world we inhabit. The text leaves us with a powerful mandate. Consciousness is not merely a passive trait people possess, it is an active skill they cultivate. Cultivating the quality of our attention is the ultimate profound freedom we have in constructing a worthwhile life.
It really is fascinating. I mean, we are looking at the exact same text, analyzing the exact same evidence, and walking away with two incredibly distinct perspectives on where the power truly lies.
Which is beautifully ironic because it proves the text's point about human perception perfectly. It highlights the absolute necessity of holding both perspectives simultaneously. We have to understand where our perception is a truly productive, creative force and where objective constraints operate regardless of our beliefs.
There is definitely a lot to chew on.
Absolutely. The architecture of conscious experience holds many more complexities worth exploring in this material. We will leave you, the listener, to decide which holds more power in shaping your existence, the hard realities of the world you inherit or the directed attention you bring to it.